Welcome to Lost Culture, your one-stop destination for everything pop culture. My name is Aston, and today we're going to do a review and a recap for Power Season 3, Episode 7, Don't Go. So in this episode, we see when we come in, James is laying in the bed, and it seems as if Angela's in the bed with him. I kind of assumed that she wasn't there, but we see he's there, he's kind of talking to her, he's just letting her know how he loves her and everything. And it turns out to be a dream, because when he wakes up or we pan out, we see he's literally in the bed by himself. He didn't even got no covers on. This boy Ghost is hurt right now. He's in his feelings badly. So we see that happen. And then we go into the club, and we see when he gets to the club, he doesn't really have any control there. Well, I think he doesn't have any control there. We see Maylene has all the security guards walking around. They're basically giving notes to each other. We see Tommy shows up. Julio shows up. Dre's up, all there. And basically they have a meeting with Maylene set up. And we see Julio's kind of complaining to Tommy how come as soon as we start selling drugs, get a new supplier, we automatically got Ghost back on with us. And what that mean about my position in the organization? That mean I'm getting kicked out of my spot, or what else? And Tommy basically tells them look, you still got a job, so be happy. And which is kind of messed up, but he is telling the truth. At least you still got a job, at least you're still alive, so don't really be too upset. So then we see Julio and Dre's talking, and Julio's asking Dre hey, are you back in the game too? And Dre's kind of confused, dang, it's messed up, nobody even told me about it. So we see that happens. We see when they go out, we see Tommy gets frisked, he got the gun on him. We see Ghost gets frisked, he gets the gun, he goes into the car. And Maylene's talking to him, letting him know this is how it's gonna go down, this is what you gotta do. I don't want the priest working for me no more. And the whole time Tommy being real smart, he's being real hard to work with. And I understand it. Tommy said, Tommy's used to be at the top of the food chain. He's not really the top, but last time they had Lobos, but Lobos gave them a lot more room to actually move around, stretch their legs. But with Maylene, we see he wants all of his stuff followed. Whatever he puts out, he wants it followed to a key. To a T. He doesn't want you to deviate from the plan at all. And he basically tells him look, you're only here because I'm forgetting his name right now. Because your friend said you were simple, but he likes you. So you're only here because he put in a good word for you, even though he's dead now. But the only reason there is that. So we see the whole time Maylene is basically ignoring Tommy. He's only talking to Ghost. He's telling Ghost what he wants Ghost to do. He wants him to sell drugs in the club. He wants all these things to happen, and he better find a way to make this deal still happen with old girl and her parents. So we see Ghost is working, trying to figure that out. And all the while all this is happening, Kane is outside the club, basically casing the joint. And we see Kane, we know Kane is back in town. We seen him last episode in Dre's apartment. But we see Kane is literally just sitting outside the club, all black, ready to do what he got to do. But he doesn't really make any moves or anything. We see him for that split second. And now we're cutting over to Angela. And for Angela, this is a very stressful episode for her. We see the whole her whole unit is being investigated to see who the actual mole is. We see Sax, Knox, we see Mike, we see Angela. I forgot the black guy's name. He's not he's always around, but he's never around. I don't even really remember his name, but we see he's there. We got some new investigators. Obviously, they found Lobos' body. They found the cell phone, and they're trying to trace it back. But I'm trying to figure out. Oh, yeah, Mike was using the burner. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out who had the other burner and was making these calls, who was basically helping Lobos, because they know for sure somebody in this branch was helping Lobos. And I love how Mike had to play it clear. He tried to play it cool. When they first started off investigating, we see he comes in, they announce like, oh look, we're gonna do some investigations. And Mike's telling them, look, I don't think nobody purposely gave up information. They might have accidentally did it, so we can get them for like, we should get them for neglect or something. They tell them like, slow your roll, buddy. You're not even in this. You're being investigated also. So we see his kind of demeanor kind of changes a little bit, and which is very understandable. He thought he was high enough to where he was above it, and he wouldn't have to worry about it. And we see he does have to worry about it. They actually do kind of suspect him. We see they go in his history like, oh, you're the only person in the whole like FBI that had the longest history with Lobos in the entire FBI, and it's understandable to think that because there have been multiple operations that he's been in that's led to some type of like basically like we see Lobos get off because the lead witness got killed in his custody, and then that was in California case, and then here in New York we see Lobos gets off because he actually escapes. Yes, he gets killed in the end, but he actually escaped. So that's 2 times Mike's been directly involved with these man's case that something happened to where Lobos is actually able to walk free. And they're starting to bring that into question, like why is it when you're watching him that things like this happen? So yeah, Mike tried to plays it off like, look, I got off my first time because I didn't have any markers of a mole, and this time I don't have any markers of a mole. But it's always the clean ones that have the most to hide. As we see, he's really the one that's in the wrong right now. Yes, Angela has like let little information slip. Sachs let information slip to Greg, and Greg actually let information slip to Medina, but none of them are actually the ones that are being investigated. They all are being investigated, but none of these ones are the ones that are actually dirty. We know it's Mike that's dirty. No, you don't know that, but I feel like at some point they're going to start piecing everything that Mike did together and point it back at Mike. So moving on past Mike, we see they're investigating, but they're talking to Sachs. Sachs actually openly admits that he let information slip, the information out on it. He that's not really holding back. He's not really too worried. He's like, look, I told Greg what happened, and Greg had this hard on for the case. Not really the case, more so Angela. He's kind of like wants to get revenge because of what she did. She kind of like threw his career. And she put his career out there, so it was a chance like she ruined his career, and he really wanted revenge for that. That's what Sachs was going off of. But we see when we get to Greg is really has a hard on for James. Greg really wants to know what involvement James has with Lobos, and he really wants to get into there. I understand it. I'm like, he's very dedicated to his job. He really wants to get Lobos. And then the same person who he's been trying to find is the same dude that took his girl. So he has like double motive. Like he wants to get him because he's a criminal, and then he wants to get him because he took his girl. Completely understandable. Kind of a second move. But hey, sometimes we lose something, we win something. We gotta move on. But Greg's not really want to move on. He kind of serious. Like, he's pretty vicious. Like, he's going hard on Angela, I feel like. And yes, Angela's wrong, like, for some of the stuff she did. But at the same time, like, Greg be digging himself in the hole. Like, they asked him, like, so you weren't following her? He like, yeah. He tried to play it off like, no, I wasn't following her. Then he's blatantly like, yeah, I followed her. Even after he was suspended, he still admitted to following her. And he couldn't find any evidence. He just has a feeling that she's guilty of something. She's to a degree she is guilty because we see she used her position to actually persuade not Ruiz, yeah, Ruiz, to stop him from actually snitching. So we see she actually does use her power at that moment to stop that happening. So he doesn't testify against James. But I can't really get mad at her. She's protecting her boyfriend. She's actually protecting herself at the same time. It's self-preservation. It's part of the game, man. You gotta live with it. And so once we get off of him, we go to the black guy. I really do not know his name to save my life. Like, I do not know his name. Like, he's always around, but he's never around. So, so we see he's there. They're asking him, "Oh, you just recently got moved to the case. Why were you moved to the case?" It's kind of weird. As soon as you got moved here, this happened. But he lets them know, like, I'm only here because of Greg and Angela. If these two was getting along, I wouldn't be here. And now that Greg's back on the case, they brought me in just to make sure if anything goes down, I'm already here. And we know they have history. We don't want to make it seem like or open themselves up for a lawsuit. It seems like you want to put somebody in there as a buffer. Let them know, like, yes, he's working the case, she's working the case, they have history. But we got him right here just in case something happens. They both can report whatever they need to report to. But it was kind of late. He did his thing, didn't happen. Now, we see it seems like they're going at Angela a little bit harder after they go to Knox. Like, once Greg tells them, oh, blah blah blah, she's this, James, blah blah blah, they bring her back in. We see when the investigator is talking to Angela, she's talking about, like, oh, I'm used to having my own bathroom also. So we see the woman to man ratio in the FBI or in the bureau is very offset. We know it's a heavily male dominated field. That's going off, well, at least in this world. I don't really know the real statistics of the FBI. I'm just going off of this field that they gave us in power. And we see she's basically the only woman on her floor. She goes in the bathroom. She's able to do whatever she wants, but this particular moment she can't because she does have the investigation going on. The investigator happens to be a female, so she can't really just do what she really wants to do. Now, with that being said, we see they talk a little bit, they communicate, throw a couple jokes around, and at the end of it, the investigator tells her, like, look, I used to be the same way you were. I used to be able to use my charm, do what I want, blah, blah, blah. And then I turned 40. Nobody wanted me after I turned 40. So you better do what you need to do before you turn 40. And yeah. So we see she gives her that advice for Angela. Angela kind of takes it to heart. And we see Angela actually kicks in the overdrive to make sure she's, like, stable and everything. Once they call her in for that second interview, we see she's reading the text messages, blah, 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 like, I love you, Jamie, I wish you were here, I wish I could be there with you. And there's, like, just really no evidence. But I just thought it was mad crazy they came to her apartment, grabbed her up like that, put the cell phone and the laptop inside the paper. Obviously, I don't think she's gonna have any evidence on there. It seems like this time she was being real careful because we know she actually was living with James. She understands that James is a pretty grimy dude. He gonna do whatever he had to do to get what he wanted. So this time, I feel like she really didn't bring any paperwork home or had anything stored on her laptop that shouldn't have been there. So I feel like she's gonna be good on that front, even though she's worried that the murder might trace back to James in the long run. I feel like she'll be good as far as her electronics and other things of those nature. We see her phone obviously was cleared because they gave her phone back to her in the middle of her investigation like it was nothing. So that's not really a deal, like an issue. And one thing I can say though about, like, at least Angela was scared in her interviews. We see she's nervous, she's saying different stuff, but Mike is like a stone cold killer. Like, not stone cold killer, but a stone cold, like, bold faced liar. He has no problem telling a lie to anybody's face. He's a cold dude. Like, he's a cold dude. Like, this type of people you can't really trust, like, basically he keeps harping on those points, like, look, I don't have any signs of being a mole or like a traitor or anything, so you really shouldn't give a thing. You looking at me. I do feel like it was kind of messed up that he kind of rolled over on Angela and flipped all the blame. Yes is a pretty easy person to blame. Yes, I'm pretty sure he probably guessed like James was responsible for Lobos' murder in some way. So he knew basically just pointing the blame at her would point the blame kind of at James, which would get him out of the way again. So he's pretty smart, like I said. I respect the intelligence. I respect the move he played, but I thought it was pretty messed up knowing that she's not responsible. So now that we see Angela's back inside the investigation room, we see she's basically telling them like, look, James didn't play me. I played James. I knew what I was doing. He didn't know what I was doing. I cloned James' phone. I got information on Tommy. I was able to track Tommy because I had James' phones. So if it wasn't for me, we wouldn't have had Lobos, blah, blah, blah. All I care about was getting Lobos, this case. And they kind of buy it. But this whole time we see they're trying to build this case against Andrew, telling like, look, you habitual lawbreaker, you don't really care rules, you'll do whatever you want to do to ensure you get the results that you're looking for, which is true to a degree. Like, she doesn't care how she gets what she needs as long as she gets it. She had no problem like really breaking the law to get what she actually wants out of the situation, and we've seen that multiple times. We see that they even named it, and when they didn't, it's kind of some stuff they didn't actually they didn't know about, like Ruiz. They didn't know about that, but hey, it's all good now. And yeah, I think they actually bought that story. I personally didn't buy it. Like, yes, I know she was like playing Ghost to a degree, but I don't think she was playing Ghost to the degree as she tried to make it seem like, oh, I wasn't in love with Ghost. We all know she was in love with Ghost. She's still in love with Ghost. She's still heartbroken. She's tore up. She's mad at what he did, which I feel like, I don't think I've actually got into it. Like, I actually feel bad because though we actually know he really loves her. They actually really love each other. But it was cool to see like she's trying to bounce back. She's being real spiteful, showing them like, I'll do whatever I gotta do to keep this job. Like, I'm not trying to go down for nobody. And I love the way she did that to her bosses. Like, she basically got free to a degree. I think they believe her to a degree, but not completely all the way. Cause we see she tells like, oh, to him you're just another girl. All this stuff. And pretty messed up, but we see she survives it. Moving on, we see Tommy again. Tommy, oh, one thing I did miss. We see Ghost actually noticed Tommy's, not Tommy, but Holly's ring that was around Tommy's neck. And this is the first time I think he's starting to picture it together like, oh, Holly actually meant more to Tommy than I might have originally recognized. I think Ghost is so used to Tommy just having a girlfriend for a while, breaking up and moving on, that he really didn't take into consideration how much he actually cared for Holly. We all know how much he cared for Holly, but Ghost was not around when when Ghost and Tommy had that falling out. I think Ghost kind of forgot that the only person Tommy really had was Holly. So anytime he was feeling like bad, anytime he needed somebody to talk to, or he just needed a partner to do something with, he had Holly. And I think Ghost is finally starting to recognize that now that he's seen the ring around Tommy's neck. And I'm glad they finally doing that. Hopefully they have a conversation and Ghost would check in with Tommy to see how Tommy's doing, because we all see Tommy's very troubled. We know Ghost is really preoccupied with everything that's going on, but I feel like Tommy and Ghost are close enough to where Ghost should be able to recognize when something is really this bad with Tommy. So I hope they have a conversation soon so they can get this figured out, find some way to help Tommy. I'm not really mad about the whole Holly situation with it. I know some people are upset about it, and I actually respect Joseph's Shakur's the way he's performing right now. We see that he's broken, we see that he's hollow, and he just wants he kind of just wants forgiveness. Um, like the preacher said, only way he's gonna get forgiveness is for himself. But yeah, moving on to that, we see we know earlier in the episode Tommy got the order to kill the preacher, but instead Tommy he tells Ghost look, I'm gonna do. Ever since you've been gone, I've been running the business my own way. I'm gonna continue to do that. I don't really need you anymore. So once Tommy go meets the preacher, we see he got his gun out the whole time. He's talking to the preacher and letting him know that I need you to stop selling guns. I don't want to kill you. I feel like this was his way to kind of get forgiveness, to get redeemed. This is what he was trying to do. He was going for his redemption. And I don't think he really felt it once he saved the preacher, but that's what he was going for, in my opinion. We see he's trying to do whatever he can. He even tells the preacher, I've done a lot of messed up things, but let me do this one thing to make something right. And I like that. I like that Tommy's really rebellious. I feel like he's being stupid right now. He's just trying to. I know he's just trying to throw his life away. I know he just wants to die because he feels so bad about Holly. But, bruh, I don't want to just say suck it up, but he got to suck it up. There's bigger issues here. He always says how much he loves Tariq and everybody, but at this moment, he's not really acting like it. He's just being. I understand he's heartbroken. He haven't had any time to bounce back from that, but there's too much on stake right now. He had to compartmentalize these feelings just for right now and deal with them later. We need to get to business. So after that, we see that Maylene doesn't really like that. Maylene, I skipped the part when we see Maylene just shows up to James's apartment. There's a lot of stuff that I kind of little things that I missed, but let me jump back to a little spot. So we see Dre and Kane is in the hallway. Dre's taking out the trash, and we see Dre is basically approached by Kane. And Kane approached him, look, you told me Tommy and Ghost weren't cool no more, and Dre has to let him know, look, I didn't know they were cool no more until this morning when they came in, and that's really where Kane ended at with Dre. Kanan left. We see a phone call later from Dre and Kanan. But let's talk about Kanan. Kanan's very vicious. We see Kanan follow the old lady into the apartment. Well, it must be Ghost's old family apartment. I don't know if the lady was related to Ghost or not, but definitely that was something that had to do with Ghost. Because I feel like he's gonna turn Ghost in. Ghost might not be arrested for a present day incident, but I feel like Kane is gonna turn in for a past incident that he did, which is kind of messed up. But the most vicious thing I seen about this episode, well, I don't know if anybody caught this, when Kanan was smothering the old lady, it was a pillow that said "Jesus saves," which is pretty ironic. It's pretty funny. Obviously, the writers and the writers and everybody, they did this on purpose. They wanted you to see this. So I just thought that was kind of funny when he was smothering an old religious lady with a pillow that said Jesus saves. But besides that, we see Kanan very vicious. But what threw me off is when Dre was talking to him, Dre acted like he didn't hear that lady get smothered. There was no way Dre didn't hear it. He heard the screaming in the background, but he just played it off like nothing happened. So I don't know. I don't know how to take that. But so now that Kane is back in town, we see Kane is just gonna be running wild. He's just basically trying to be another problem. I don't know if Kanan is as afraid of Maylene as everybody else is, but we see Dre tells Kanan oh, Ghost is afraid of Maylene, and Kanan tells him look, anytime Ghost is afraid, we all should be worried. So I don't know how it's gonna happen. I feel like Ghost and Kanan somehow gonna put their beef on the back burner just so they can take out Maylene. Maylene obviously is the biggest threat here, not only to Kanan, man, yeah, not only to Kane but to Ghost also. So these two, like the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Like I understand we have beef, but for right now, we need to bond together so we can get our city back. Cause Maylene ain't playing no games, and that's another thing about Tommy. We see Maylene's completely ignoring Tommy. He asks Ghost if he has any questions, and then Tommy's the only one asking questions, talking about do you eat people, and he's constantly asking about this question. It's pretty funny, honestly, but it was just crazy. I was like, hey, Tommy, you need to calm down. Like you're trying to get yourself messed up, but Maylene just let it slide. He doesn't really care. He just looks at him like kind of like mean mugging him, and actually, like I said, like Maylene is a boss this episode. We see Angela shows up to the crib again. Angela has no problem running up on Tasha. Like, not a care in the world. We see her feelings got hurt a little bit, but I feel like Angela was smart enough to see through the facade and know that Tasha was just lying. Tasha was really just trying to push her buttons. And, because obviously Angela don't have any proof that Tasha was there with him. She knows Tasha probably is covering up for him. But I'm pretty sure she knows that Ghost doesn't love her. Ghost wasn't having sex with her. So I'm pretty sure she connected the dots like, yeah, he used her to do this for me. And another thing about Tasha, I know I got a lot of slack last week saying I don't like black women and everything. But I don't have a problem with black women. I love all shades of women. But I don't really like Tasha's character. That's doesn't have to do with her. I didn't like Holly's character either, and Holly's not a character of color. But this episode we see Ghost ask Tasha for money out of the kids' trust funds and everything, and I completely respect her for not doing it. Like I wish someone would ask me for money out of my children's bonds that he may not be able to get back. She tells him like taxes and everything for withdrawing money. If you don't know, when you take money out of like these like your 401k and like trust bonds, everything too early, you get heavily taxed. So they make it so the penalties are so harsh that you really won't do it because it just isn't worth it. The amount of penalties you're going to get for taking up the amount of money or using this money that you need. Sometimes like if that's your last resort, you can do it. But if it isn't your last resort, they're trying to like get you to refrain from doing it by having these penalties that are so harsh. I don't know what their penalties were, like the actual rate, how much like the tax was per their accounts. I'm pretty sure it varies from like state to state or like account to account. But she tells them like, look, the taxes for this is going to be crazy stupid for this. That's for you to do this. And Ghost is trying to like plead with her, convince her that I need this money. And he doesn't really tell her what's really going on. And that's kind of another thing that Dre brought up. Like, no matter how close you is with Ghost, he's always going to have something that he's not going to tell you. He's always going to have some secrets that he's keeping to himself, that he's playing close to the chest. And which is really true about Ghost. It's an honest opinion that I kind of, like, we all seen that multiple times, which is true. But so I'm kind of glad that she didn't just cave in when he like pleading her, letting her know that he broke up with Angela and everything. So I'm glad that she held her ground and she didn't allow Ghost to do that, because that's very true. We don't know if Ghost is ever really going to make that money back, and if something happens to him, now the kids are just SOL. Sad but true. So I'm glad that she actually stood her ground and didn't allow him to take that money out. Now, what else happened in this episode? So much happened in this episode. So I didn't like how Tasha like kind of like exaggerated what Tariq did. Like Tariq didn't try to hit her. He didn't even raise his hand in a violent way. We see when she goes to hit Tariq, what he does is to catch her hand. Obviously Tariq's getting to the age where she just can't really be putting hands on him anytime he wants. I'm not saying Tariq should hit her back or anything like that. I'm saying Tariq is getting to an age where he's starting to rebel. He's obviously bigger than her. She needs to find different ways to instill discipline within Tariq. And obviously the physical part isn't gonna do it anymore. He's taller than her. He's obviously gonna be stronger than her. So the physical violent part isn't gonna work anymore. So, and Tariq's a smart kid. So just by you hitting him or things of that nature doesn't mean he's gonna listen to you. He might have pain. He might say he's gonna do something in that moment, but it doesn't really mean he's really learned from the situation or he's gonna do anything. And honestly, it's her fault. The way he talks, the way she talks about Ghost in front of them, and the way she acts about Ghost in front of them, is how they perceive it. So he would never knew how she truly felt about Ghost if she didn't portray those feelings and things in front of them. Like I said, last season or the first season when Ghost was trying to call him, get inside the apartment, and she took Tariq's phone because I don't know why I called him Dad, because James was calling him. He let her know like, hey, Dad's calling me, and she's like, oh, don't answer the phone. And when she answered the phone, she's sitting right in front of him talking crazy to Ghost like it's nothing. So it's her fault that Tariq feels that Tariq interprets her feeling towards Ghost to be ill or like malice. Like that's true. Like the kids only pick up on to what you put out into the world. So yeah. Then we get to see that Ghost actually has to sit down with Tariq. And when you sit down with Tariq says like some sideways stuff to him, like, oh, like you made me I apologize to your side bitch. And that right there sets Ghost off already. Because we know Ghost is mad emotional right now. He just broke up with Angie. He got Maylene in his back trying to make him do this. And all of this. And Ghost just snaps. So we see he grabs him like, look, say that shit again. And we see Tariq doesn't really do it. He actually like freezes up. And then once Ghost recognizes what he's doing and who he's talking to, we see he kind of like falls back. And then Tariq get tough again and push him. And I felt like, I don't think Ghost should have hit him, but like Ghost should have did something once he pushed him, because now we got Tariq smelling himself. Tariq's out here in the crib, like, yeah. But Tariq knows what it is. He knows what he can get away with. And he knew Ghost felt bad like the moment that he grabbed him. But hey, little dude gotta learn he can't be just talking crazy to everybody like that. Because he didn't even know how Ghost really get down. If he knew how his dad really got down, how he really, really got down, he wouldn't want those parts. Like this, he wouldn't want that. So we see that. Then we see Maylene just shows up to the crib like it's nothing. That all because of Ghost. You know how Ghost is with his conniving ways. He's real like smart, low key. He tells him like, hey, I need you to file this missing person report for a waitress that used to work here. Not knowing that Maylene's been keeping his eye on Ghost since like season 1. Then like he's been eyeing Ghost for a minute because he had workers there off the rip. So, oh man, like I don't even know what to tell you. Like, so Ghost has been on Maylene's radar since day 1. Like we didn't even know it. I love how they flipped that on us. That old girl's been with Maylene the whole time. I don't know if his wife or his girl, like just his girl or whatever, but he had her on payroll since like day 1. And James didn't even know what was really going on. So that's his fault. Like Maylene infiltrated it so smoothly. Like he's amazing. I can't even get mad at him. He had contingencies and primary plans set up and everything. He's a great guy. So we see he's there. We see Ghost is looking at the girl crazy like, dang, like I can't believe you've been playing me this long. And I don't know if it's because he's just been so caught up with everything that's been going on or whatnot, but it's kind of hard like for all this stuff to go on. Like he let all this stuff just go on. Now, so we see that happens. We see the whole time he's getting to know the kids. He's telling them, is it just me or does Maylene have like a lazy eye or he's cross-eyed or something? Because one of those, I swear one of those eyes is cocked like a pistol, man. I don't know, like I don't know. It was kind of like he was looking over here, but he had one eye way over here, just wandering over here. I don't know if he had a dead eye or what, but that one eye just doing his own thing. I think it was his right eye. I can't remember. Like I just remember one eye basically just doing what he wanted. He looked so crazy with those eyes like that too. So we seeing that happening. We see he's in there talking to it, and the crazy part is he just lit a cigarette up in the apartment like it was nothing. I'd have been so pissed if I don't let people smoke in my car. So the smoke in my apartment, oh, I would have been so heated. Especially where Maylene is so disrespectful. And even his girl's disrespectful. She's like, oh, look how he looks at me. You can tell he's upset and everything. So, yeah, Maylene's just a certified boss in this episode. And we see once he leaves, we see Tasha actually catches on to what he's doing. She understands like, oh, obviously this dude popped up. We see James is upset the whole time. He's snarling, giving a little crazy about to go get my murder outfit on. Tasha picks up on these keys or these signals and understands like, oh, something's wrong here. So he had the conversation with Ghost. She's asking like, why is he here? Blah blah blah. What's going on? And Ghost actually tells the truth. I respect Ghost. We don't really see him tell the truth too much to Tasha, but this time he actually decided to tell the truth. He understood like, hey, the family's in trouble now, so I gotta let Tasha know let her know what's going on, and so she's protected. She had the weapon and everything, so she's protected. Now we see Ghost actually finally has his conversation with Tasha, not Tasha, with Angela. That text from Paz, I don't know if it was really Paz or not. I'm confused about that because she's basically like, oh, you go around my sister again, I'm gonna kill you. I hate people like that. Like, you're not gonna do nothing. You're not gonna bust a grape in a fruit fight. Even though I think Paz got a little bit of heart, I don't see her going at James like that. She don't, like, they don't really want them problems. They don't want them. Like, the bark is much worse than the bite. I'm sure of it. And so we see Paz didn't even do a good job packing old boy's clothes. And I got home, I was missing a shoe. I'd have been so upset, and it was a red bottom. But that red bottom was wore out. I don't know what James been walking to, but those red bottoms was wore out. So, so we see all that happen. Gosh. So she shows up. She basically tells him, look, I'm under investigation. If you don't tell me, I love how Ghost like kind of threw her down. I didn't know where it was gonna lead to. I figured he was looking for a wire, but I feel like, you know how Angela and Ghost is. These two be arguing, next minute have sex for no reason. So I figured it must be their way of getting them into a sex scene, but it didn't happen. We see her just arguing, complaining about she thinks she's going to jail because of what Ghost did. She tells Ghost like, oh, you lied to me when you told me you didn't love me anymore because you never loved me. And you know, he tried to confess it to her. We know he's obviously going to go out of his way to find a way to convince her or show her who he got the information from, because he doesn't really know who got the information. Tommy was getting all the information, so, and they never really told him who they was getting it from. So Ghost really can't even help her if he wanted to, because he doesn't really know where the information came from. So it's really like, he is like damned if you do and damned if you don't. I'm glad he didn't admit to actually doing it. I'm glad he pulled I think he did like season 1 or season 2 when she found out he was Ghost, and he hit her with the if I was Ghost, would I answer that question? So he hit her with that, like, look, whoever killed Ghost had to get information, killed Lobos, had to get information from somewhere, but he or she does not know where they got the information from. Pretty like good way to get around it. She wasn't a bond. Like, she feels like he knew he's in there. She knows she couldn't have given the information. She knows he couldn't have stole it from her because she didn't know when everything was going down. So she's like, oh, I'm in the clear. I know that for a fact. But if you go down for this murder, they're going to connect me to you. And I'm still going to go down. It's like a really like messed up situation for everybody in this episode, because everybody's connected to James and trying to help James out or trying to make sure Jane stay on top or survive or whatever, it's putting a lot of people at risk. And we see Tommy trying to make sure his boys survive. We knew Maylene was crazy. Old boy didn't follow his directions for Tommy and them earlier, and Maylene just pulled a little wire out, choked him out real quick. And one thing I didn't understand is, so when Maylene's in the warehouse with them, we see he has Julio. We has the whole gang wrapped up on the back with the little zip ties on. What the hell is wrong with Julio? He didn't bring Dre. Dre must be like, they don't. Nobody respects Dre for some reason. I don't know why. Dre my boy still. Roll Timmy, I still fucks with you. You're my boy. I don't really download your music, but your character I fuck with. He's just. They don't get no respect to Dre. Like, that's my boy. That's like my favorite, one of my favorite characters in the show. If not my favorite, but we see he's in the show. We see everybody like zip ties to the side, basically to I don't know if they would like kind of argue back if he was planning on killing them, but he's definitely doing like a power move, let them know like, look, I got your whole organization right now. I can shut this shit down right now, and he really could have. You see, he choked his own boy out like with no problem, killed them. So for Julio and them, hey, it's just a word. Like, I don't even think he'll say it's business. It's pleasure for Maylene when it comes to this murder business. He's all about it. Now we see Tommy doesn't follow his directions to like the T, like how he likes it. He kind of saved him, and he kind of respected it. We see Tommy at the hands a little bit. Tommy in there like he ducking and diving. I mean, ducking and dodging. He ain't no young Ali or nothing. He ain't got his footwork right, but we see that he's in there, throwing the bows. He's in there working though. He's working a little bit till they all came in at once, and they drugged that ass in the finest degree. You know, the boy got his ass whooped. So we see he getting beat bad. Maylene finally shows up to join the show, and Maylene looks like, damn, he's not even fighting back. I expect Tommy to have a lot more fight back in him than this. He obviously just wants to die. So we see Maylene go down, talk to him. He checks him out. He sees the ring. And then he realizes, like, damn, oh, you want to die because you accidentally killed your girl. He don't respect that. Maylene basically told him, like, look, you ain't got nothing to die for. I mean, you ain't got nothing to lose. So if we don't keep you alive, that's worse than dying. When you ain't got nothing to live for, it could be I don't have that situation. I don't know how bad that really is. I never really like dealt with depression, but obviously for Tommy, he's in that depression. He's depressed. He feels really lost, and I don't know what he's gonna do. Hopefully, he finds some way to get over it, because Ghost really does need it, and he doesn't respect that Ghost still hasn't killed Angela. He took the easy way out just by breaking up with her, but I feel like at some point Tommy might actually go after Angela this season. We know she broke up with Ghost, so he feel like it might be a free run. Hope we don't really do it, but he might go at it. And that's really all that happened in this episode. Like I said, it was a really great episode. I still enjoyed it myself. The power move this week, though, it has to go to Maylene. Like, he was just stunting on James. When he just showed up to the crib, smoking a cigarette in the house, so disrespectful. So disrespectful. He didn't care about the kids' health. He didn't care about the baby's health. He didn't care about nobody. And he just brought some random food. He didn't know what they liked. Maylene gets the power move of the week. Maylene is a beast. What I liked about this episode, I love how they're going into how depressed how depressed I can't even think of Tommy is, how he's still struggling with that. We see Ghost is struggling with depression and emotions from his breakup with Angela and those things. And I love Tasha. I got to see more Tasha looking out for her children. I enjoyed that. One thing I didn't like with this, I don't know why I am with this, like logic, logistics, and things like that. It kind of bugged me. We seen them pick up Tommy and Ghost, but by the time Tommy and Ghost got to their warehouse, they already had Julio and them tied up. But we had just left Julio at the club, and nothing was wrong with him. So that kind of messed with me a little bit. That's like a little thing, but and Angela was kind of a little like Angela's character wasn't too constant. It was her character story was kind of like 1 minute she's real emotional, she's crying, and then the next she's out here, cold face killer, not killer, but she's just bold face. I'm gonna get down to the bottom of this. But besides that, like I said, I really enjoyed the episode and can't wait to see what happens next week. So we're more than halfway done. I think we had 3 episodes. What 8, 9, and 10. We had 3 episodes left. And thank you guys for tuning in so far. So like, subscribe, comment. Let me know what you think. What you disagree with. Last week we see Lolo J. I think her name is. She has a strong opinion about last week's recap. I respect it and everything. Thank you guys for being active in the comment section. And as always, follow us on Instagram at lost_culture. Follow me on Instagram at Saint_Aston. And stay lost.